You ever show up to a comeback movie expecting the lead to carry the load, and then the side character you forgot about becomes the unexpected hero? That was Thursday night in Baltimore. Joe Burrow came back from turf toe limbo, sure, but the real headline was a Bengals defense that remembered how to bite. Cincinnati forced 5 turnovers. Evan McPherson kicked like a man with a personal vendetta against uprights, and the Bengals walked out with a 32-14 win that smelled a lot like a reset. Let's start with the obvious. Joe Burrow. The guy limped into the stadium wearing a carbon fiber plate in his left cleat, which he took off between series to swap into something more comfortable, and still managed to play like a guy who missed practice but not instincts. He finished 24 for 46 for 261 yards and 2 third-quarter touchdowns that actually felt like the breathing room Cincinnati needed. He didn't fake his way through it. He got hit, he improvised, and he hit the throws that counted. But if you walked away thinking this was only a Burrow returns, offense functions night, you missed the bigger arc. This game was a defensive clinic with a comedic timing element. The Bengals had allowed 32.7 points per game coming into the week, a number that makes coordinators hair gray, and they had practically zero takeaway production across the first 11 games. On Thursday, they flipped the script and turned turnovers into a thematic element. Strip sacks, fumbles through the end zone, tipped passes, and aggressive red zone strip 5 times. That's not random luck. That's a unit waking up and deciding to do its job. Let's break down the chaos. Early on, Joseph Ossai stripped Lamar Jackson at the Baltimore 6, and the Bengals recovered. Jackson coughed up another fumble later in the first half, a jaw-dropping loss as he tried to pull the ball back, and Isaiah Likely fumbled through the back of the end zone in the middle of a drive that looked dangerous for Cincinnati. That's 3 turnovers in Baltimore territory, and it's the kind of field position gift that should be a touchdown factory. The Bengals, to their credit and also their frustration, came away with only 6 points off those giveaways before halftime. That's ugly efficiency, but to be fair, sometimes a takeaway is a psychological punch more than an immediate points bonanza. The 4th and 5th turnovers were equally cinematic. Miles Murphy tipped a pass in the 4th that Demetrius Knight Jr. snagged and returned 39 yards, setting up a short field. Later, cornerback Jalen Davis ripped the ball from Zay Flowers late, basically sealing the outcome. Those plays weren't flukes. They were violent, disciplined attempts to take the ball away. When a defense decides turnovers are their primary job, these things start piling up. And now, the human highlight reel. Evan McPherson. If you were worried about Cincinnati losing the money mat era, cancel that anxiety. He made 6 field goals, including long ones, and basically banked points all night. When your offense stumbles in the red zone, and it did, a kicker who can reliably put 3 points on the board from multiple ranges turns a wobbly team into a winner. Those 6 kicks were the difference between a moral victory and a genuine one. Lamar Jackson, he fought, but it wasn't his night. The ankle, toe, and knee issues that shadowed him this season showed up as a less explosive, more contact-prone performance. He finished 17 of 32 for 246 yards with an interception, and worse, a bounty of lost fumbles. A player like Jackson can paper over some mistakes with magic. Thursday, the magic was dialed down and the mistakes were amplified. When your quarterback loses the ball multiple times, you can't expect a catch-up miracle to save you. Let's talk chest beating and missed opportunities. The Bengals squandered a fine chance when they had 1st and goal at the Baltimore 2 after Ossai's strip sack. That series ended empty, and it stung. Sometimes turnovers look like 4-star buffet trays. Sometimes they're awkward appetizers that don't transform into a main course. But the defense kept coming. Even when the offense stalled, the D kept swinging until the scoreboard matched the effort. On the coaching side, this was a night the Bengals staff deserved for their adjustments. You could see schematic choices designed to force the Ravens into uncomfortable places, pressure where you could, bait throws where you couldn't, and rally to the ball and run support. Credit the coaches for dialing up the right aggression, and credit the players for executing it instead of just praying the refs do the work for them. Now, the feel-good and the ledger. This was the kind of win that matters for momentum. Cincinnati snapped a 4-game skid, and more importantly, it got Burrow back on the field without drama. For a team that had been leaning on other quarterbacks and not getting the defensive production needed, this felt like a shot of clarity. When you protect the ball and the defense plays like it believes, you can win ugly or pretty, depending on which half you watched. That said, there's work to be done. The offense still has red zone hiccups. Burrow's completion rate and decision timing are things to iron out with the non-contact days and the next week of practice. And the offensive line, well, it wasn't perfect here. If Cincinnati wants to sustain a second-half run, the offense must convert in the red zone rather than sending McPherson to do the heavy lifting every series. For Baltimore, the loss is a gut punch. They'd been riding a 5-game streak, and suddenly they're fumbling their way back to earth. The Ravens will have to reevaluate how they protect their playmaker and how they remove the ball from harm's way on the goal line. You can't lose that many fumbles and expect to keep winning in a division this tight. Let's finish with the human metric, belief. Burrow's return gave the Bengals a pulse. The defense's performance gave them a heartbeat. Together, they created a rhythm that other teams will notice. A team that can force 5 turnovers and still win is a team that scares opponents during late November planning. If Cincinnati can take this blueprint into the next game, be opportunistic, capitalize on field position, and limit self-inflicted wounds, this could be the night that flips a season. Final line. Joe came back, yes, but the defense decided to stay. When those two things line up, bad stretches end. Tonight, the Bengals proved that even a sputtering season can pivot on one noisy Thursday in Baltimore.